Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are on this pretty insane planet. In fast forward to our species, this last 60 or 70 years, we've been in what scientists call the great acceleration, zoom mode, going from 2 billion people to toward 9 billion people by mid-century. The pandemic has been like one of those Wile E. Coyote screech moments, putting on the brakes and caused us to go into a great pause. And now we're in a great debate. Many societies around the world are fractured, and social media, the communication systems we use to connect, are in many cases dividing us. And I've been spending week after week after week during the week looking at the tough questions we face and trying to build cohesion and resilience amid all of that stuff. Sundays are still about just pausing and breathing, connecting and conversing, trading songs and stories. I do this through the auspices of Columbia University's nascent initiative on communication and sustainability. I still have this theory that we can make information matter and connectivity not be a divisive aspect of our lives. I think it's a working hypothesis still, given the recent dynamics of the internet. I got a great set of guests here this morning. A good friend of mine, Dwight Garner, who's here from Provincetown. Got David Grinspoon, who is a astrobiologist and student of planetary futures, not just our own. And he's also a fantastic musician. A couple of Dylan tunes he did on here in recent months were just amazing renditions of stuff we thought we knew. Karen Brooks, who's a sheep farmer and part of my ensemble of musicians we called Breakneck Ridge Review up in Heath, Massachusetts. Joseph Pupe and Lusaka Zambia, who's been on the show since the very beginning back in March. Great to see you again, Joseph. And I know the connectivity is tough, so we'll try to talk with you in a bit. And Julio Friedmann, who's a trying to help the world go carbon negative. We've been pumping a lot of CO2 into the atmosphere the last 150 years, and whatever we do with constraining today's emissions has to also include taking stuff back. And that's a big debate right now. And Julio's at the Center on Global Energy Policy at Columbia University, and long affiliated with the Lawrence Livermore National Labs, lives out in Livermore, California. I think you're the early riser in today's show. A couple more people in the green room. So boy, what a good morning to connect. And Dwight, I wanted to say hi to you. You're a newcomer to this crazy enterprise.
Yeah, it's really good to see you. Your viewers and listeners may not know, but we were neighbors in Garrison, New York for almost a decade. It was funny because my wife and I moved out of the city and thought, we're getting away from all this journalism crowd. We moved to this dirt road where there are very few houses on it, and right next door is Andy Revkin, the great Andy Revkin, and it was a great little scene.
It still is. I moved from the country there. I moved from up on the hill in the woods to the village of Nelsonville, which is like a limpet attached to the bigger bivalve that is Cold Spring, which is inside a town called Phillipstown. That's how we do politics in the Hudson Valley. And now we have neighbors a little closer, but we still can walk into the woods and have
you do politics by shellfish metaphor.
I guess that's true. Yeah, and then I guess sometimes you have those invasive creatures that come in and take over. And we had that. Actually, Roger Ailes moved it into our town a number of years back, and he was like one of those invasive species. He consumed a church, he consumed the local newspaper, and caused a big ruckus. But the ecosystem survived, and he passed along. So
did you ever dine with Roger? Like, did you get to know him?
I met him at the I think just once. He and his wife at the golf club where Daniel, my older son at that time, was a lifeguard there. We were hanging out by the pool, and along comes Roger Ailes, and we did meet and talk just for a little bit. But that was the closest thing I ever saw to him being civil in the area. He would show up at town meetings and village meetings with his lawyer by his side, trying to disrupt and take over in that same way he did so much of his work in the media environment as well. Strange universe, I'll tell you. And the community, one of the coolest things, and Dwight, you were here for this, was the uprising. The local community, Gordon Stewart and others, created a little startup newspaper that was doing battle just as an online website first with this Roger Ailes effect in the local village. Some of this is on, like, there's 2 different documentaries about him, I think, that include a little bit of this.
Oh, really? Well,
So-
the late great Gordon Stewart, who was famously Jimmy Carter's speechwriter, helped write the Malays speech, and was just this. He really stirred the pot up in the Garrison and Cold Spring area, and I miss that guy.
Yeah, he went way too soon, and he also would conduct oratorios and things in the local church. An amazing character. So the Hudson Valley is still keeping on. The billion years of time and toil are etched in these old hills, as my song goes, and they'll be here long after all of our little comings and goings have come and gone. Let's start with some music. And Dwight, I'd love to learn a little bit about your book of quotations that you have that's just come out. But maybe, Karen, do you want to start us off with a song that, whatever comes to mind in the context of where we're at right now?
Yeah, I'm going to take the headphones off so I
way.
won't be able to hear you. But I wrote this song a while ago after September 11th, but I feel like it's sort of, it relates. So I wrote it for Pete, kind of.
That would be Pete Seeker.
I was walking, I was talking to a man who made the grade. He was walking for freedom, he was so unafraid. I was dreaming, he was beaming from his head to his toes, as he walked down the highway, as he walked past the rose. Well, maybe you've seen all the things that I've seen. I've been walking with you, and you know what I mean. In my dreams I knew a sailor. He sailed out on the harbor. He was walking on water, but he died just the same. In my dreams I knew a farmer. She worked hard with her own hands, prayed for the harvest, the sun and the rain. Well, maybe you've seen all the things that I've seen. I've been walking with you, and you know what I mean. In my city, oh so pretty, where my father was born, we've been rocked in the cradle, and the people are torn. We can stand here close together, reach our hands out to each other, but we'll never stop loving, and we won't be afraid. Well, maybe you've seen all the things that I've seen. I've been walking with you, and you know what I mean. Thank you. Thanks. I wished I had 2-part harmony on there, because that song, it's got this really kind of discordant harmony, but it really makes the song. But this is what we got, right? Oh, I'm going to mute.
I muted myself. There we go. It could almost work as a round or something. It has that nice rhythm to it. Beautiful. And so, Dwight, this book, you mentioned. I haven't read it yet. I don't have it yet. But I like the idea that you started with, which is it's basically drawing on what you call a commonplace book, meaning you've been harvesting thoughts and commentary and ideas through the decades, and you write them down. I think that's a really cool practice. Can you just talk about it a little bit? The book that you've done?
Yeah, well, it's sort of it's sort of a book of quotations for people who don't like books of quotations. I mean, all of us probably have in your house, Bartlett's or the Oxford Book of Quotations or the Penguin Guide to Modern Quotations, and those are official repositories of supposedly the best that's been thought and said. Then there are these other things called commonplace books, and some people have published them. Virginia Woolf published her commonplace book. E.M. Forster did. The poet J.D. McClatchy. Some of them have been published by lesser known figures in England, and they were kind of a genre, and some of these are cult items still. And I really have a problem with most books of quotes and with most quotes because they're always sort of skewed to be about happiness and love and joy and all, they're how to get ahead in life. And often the stuff that I like when I'm reading is the stuff that's just about being alive, and it's about different kinds of experience. And my book has a lot more self-hating in it. There's a lot more about food and about just life, And I just got a review on Amazon this morning by a woman who threw it away. She said, after I hit the 100th F-bomb on page 84, I tossed it out the window, which was hyperbole. There's maybe 30 F-bombs by page 87. But as I write in my introduction, and by the way, this is a very serious book. I'm making it sound light, but I'm letting generations and centuries of writers talk to one another about subjects like love and loss and cheese and oysters and everything you can think of. So I'll have a quote from T.S. Eliot on cheese, followed by one by Laurie Moore or Michael Chabon. And anyway.
Yeah, I'm showing people a little, I'm looking here on an early page, and I see what you're talking about here.
You missed, go ahead.
Well, no, you
you put this page up, the quote that goes right before that. Will I get you canceled if I drop an F-bomb?
No.
It's just a single one, but right up here, this section begins. Anyway, when J.R.R. Tolkien was reading aloud from an early draft of Lord of the Rings, one of his fellow Dons at Oxford said, "Oh, F, not another elf." And,
there it is. Yeah, I just found it.
I've got all these quotes about not liking elves and rabbit's foots and all that kind of thing. But that's from early on. And you can see the quotes sort of run together as if it's a conversation, and that's the whole thing reads like a scroll. There are no sections. It's just a long document in which I hope, the stuff plays off each other. But it's a little bit darker and earthier, I would say, than most books of quotations.
Well, it also looks like it could work in the way Andrei Codrescu, who's been on here many times. He might pop on later. I don't know. He described this process he uses called bibliomancy that goes way back to, I guess, the tradition centuries ago. If you had some trouble in life or some pressing question, just open the Bible to any random page, and the first words you set your eyes upon help you solve the problem. He said works with that. He said that works with any book of poetry, but maybe it could work with this book of quotations too.
Yeah, or as long as you didn't find certain pages.
Do you have a copy there?
I do.
I imagine so. So let's just play a game. How do we solve the pandemic? Now just open a random page.
All right.
And go like the fourth quote down.
Well, I do have some pandemic quotes. Let me say, I have Tom Stoppard saying that this is the life he's always wanted. Social distancing without social disapproval. I have Mencken saying that the way to get rid of any infectious disease is to shoot immediately anyone who comes down with it. I have P.J. Woodhouse saying an apple a day keeps the doctor away if you have good aim. And Robert Stone in I forget which novel has this great line, "It glistened in a billion pairs of eyes," which is just sort of weird poetry, but it kind of fits in the section about disease in my book. But you want me to open up to go ahead.
Well, here, by the way, this is one of those this is like Marshall McLuhan in Sleeper or Annie Hall. Watch. And here's Andrei Codrescu.
Hello.
So Andrei, I was just talking about bibliomancy because Dwight Garner has compiled a book of quotations that's kind of a walk through history. He sort of counterposes quotations from different times and different people in different contexts and builds, visual progressions. And I mentioned bibliomancy, which you were describing here early. And I asked him to turn to a random page and see if it answers the question, how do we end the pandemic? So that's where we are. I'm just catching you up. How are you?
Well, I'm the answer, obviously, to that.
Yeah, right. You just popped up.
So I'm working. actually had some dialogues, throughout history, speaking of a long span of time between different people like Plato and Marx and so on. And I'm assigning them these kinds of conversations to some of my friends so that we'll do it in a dramatic way. So mainly to answer the question, what are we doing now? Which seems to be a very strange time in between. One before and another after, as we had the succession of befores and afters now for the past year or so.
So Dwight, I think you were going to pull up the book and have open to something.
All right, just you want to hear one line? Just you want the first thing I come to? All right.
Yeah.
Nobody steals books but your friends. The next quote is, "My friends have signed copies of my books that I didn't sign." That's from Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
So these are sort of thematic. Are there bubbles of themes, page by page, books and
yeah, they all
and...
they kind of run into each other. So yeah, that's how it works.
I think Bibliomancy delivers yet again.
Right. I think I wrote the last book about that. It's called Bibliodeath. My archives with life in footnotes, and it is about the 500 riot that the books had since Gutenberg made movable print. And so Bibliodeath is not so much about the change of content from one platform to another, from virtual paper to computers, but about my own life through technologies of writing, from my calligraphy in elementary school, the German style calligraphy, to the latest incomprehensible machines, and what it means to have all these flood of trucks full of books following you around the world. So
Dwight, I just want to back up to a more general question about your work as a book critic now, and looking at the flow of things in the world these days, and also the volume of books that are produced in a year. And every book I know, most books I know, are trying to capture a moment, or the ones that are topical at any rate, are just really on the point of the pandemic or Trumpian politics or whatever. But how does that work in the world we now have, which seems so focused on flow and the nonstop nature of knowledge, and not just knowledge, but debate even? Are books losing their place in all of this? Or, I mean, you can't even keep track. So was that really big new book on Trump? Was it even on the bestseller list? Or, and it's like going on to the next thing. How does that work right now?
Well, Andy, book sales are up. I mean, people are reading during the pandemic.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think literature is only gaining ground at the moment. I don't think that we have I don't think the desire for books is lessening. We have fewer bookstores. We have fewer book reviews. I mean, one of the tragedies of the last 3 decades, it's happened in newspapers, but it's happened at their book review sections. There just aren't many places to review a book any longer. Reynolds Price, the great North Carolinian writer, wrote a memoir about 15 years ago in which he said that when he published his first novel, which would have been back in the 50s or 60s, he got about 140. He thought that the average decent first novel got about 100 reviews in America back in that period. Then he was writing in around 2000. He said now that novel might get about 15. I think right now that novel will get about 3 or 4 reviews. And so it's just harder for books to get a purchase. No one is, there are good places online that are doing work, but there used to be a lot of book sections in America, not just in newspapers, but in all those alternative weeklies like the Village Voice and every major town had one, and they're gone. It's just, it's tragic. And I'm surprised. It should be a page 1 story in the New York Times one day, just to recognize this has happened. Just like book reviews are dead. I mean, they're not dead, but something's happened to them.
Interesting. Hold on, I want to get back to the music, but someone on a comment was just saying, "Can we show the cover of the book?"
Oh yeah, I wish I knew what color this was, because it's a it looks orange on the screen, but it's actually a weird kind of pink.
It looks like it's persimmon.
Thank you, thank you.
That was fast, Julio.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, there you go. So these broadcasts get archived right away, and folks can come back. It's easy to find. Just Garner's quotations, and you're at Dwight Garner on Twitter and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on a second. I'm just going to change the. So David Grinspoon, here we are on Pandemic Planet. Used to be called Earth, and biology is teaching us a big lesson. We're all connected. We kind of thought we knew we were connected by like transport and economies and climate, CO2. And now this little virus has slapped us around and continues. Sadly, I just was seeing this extraordinary account last night on Twitter that I forwarded to a lot of people from a nurse in South Dakota who's dealing again with that same surge we had in New York City early. And she said there are patients coming in who are Trump voters, South Dakota, who are like looking at their own conditions. They're actually, in the ICU. And they're saying, no, you must be mistaken. This can't be COVID-19. That's fake. And she said the only time they stop talking is when they're intubated. It's just horrifying to think not only of the virus, but our level of being capable of looking at the color of Dwight's book and saying, no, it's green. It's really a tough time. So how are you doing in your astrobiological analysis these days? And do you have a song you could throw into the mix?
Well, my first reaction is
you're muted.
Oh,
yeah.
I am?
No,
you're fine. You're fine.
Oh,
I can hear him.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay, cool. Well, my first reaction is it's funny because I'm actually colorblind. So I'm in the if you tell me it's green or it's persimmon, I just have to believe you. So I'm not sure how that works metaphorically into this larger discussion about alternate realities. But,
yeah.
But
well, it would be nice if we were all colorblind when it comes to several things. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a challenging time. I'm personally a little bit wrecked this morning because I found out in the middle of the night that a friend of mine on the Navajo Nation who was sick with COVID died last night. A wonderful woman, and they're just being destroyed out there in the Navajo Nation. And I spent some time. I was out there a couple of summers doing this NASA and the Navajo Nation Space Camp with middle school kids, where we traveled around with some Navajo elders and some NASA people, and talked about the landscape with these kids and told the scientific stories, and then also they learned the traditional stories about the landscapes, and then we saw how the two dovetailed, and the kids did these amazing art projects where they combine the scientific and cultural stories of these landscapes, and out of that I formed some lasting friendships. And one of these, a woman, a really wonderful woman who's a grandmother and a teacher, was sick and passed away last night. So I'm very sad about that. Yeah, so it's a challenging time. And Andy, you and I have talked before about I'm sort of a perennial optimist, and I think you are too. And it's challenging times for optimists. But I was thinking also in terms of your conversation with Dwight about sort of the fleeting moment of things. And because books are about moments. Well, my book, Earth in Human Hands, is an attempt to be about a sort of a 10,000 year moment. Because in the 4.5 billion years of history, then that's a moment, right? But it's challenging to try to like focus on that big picture when the small picture is so scary and sad. And I'm a little bit reminded of Vladimir Vernadsky wrote this piece as World War II was approaching about his sort of vision of the long-term future, how he saw the human race getting more connected, and this was going to be this positive thing. And he said, well, the winds of war are approaching now. And I don't remember his exact words, but he said, things are going to be bad, but in the long run, I'm sure things are going to be good. And, and I sort of feel like I'm trying to draw on that same kind of attitude, but it's challenging.
Yeah, it is. One day at a time.
Yeah. So I do have a song. Let me see if I can pull up the lyrics here so I remember them. And this is also about sort of on the theme of sadness, but finding joy inside of it. A hero of mine passed away not too long ago, and that is Toots Hibbert from Toots and the Maytals, one of the originators of reggae, and also a guy who just kept going and kept making amazing music for decades and was just a bringer of joy. I saw him live many times, and even, you know, into his later years, I forget how old he was, because he was one of these timeless people, but he was in his 70s. But, you know, even in recent years, you'd see him and he'd have this like eternally youthful energy, and he'd just like light up a room and just fill it with joy. And so I feel like, even though I'm sad about my friend and sad about Toots passing, I'm going to do a Toots song, which maybe is tinged with sadness right now for me, but also reminds us hopefully of the joy in music and in everything.
Sure.
Can you? I'm going through this interface now. So can you hear my guitar?
Yeah, sounds
Okay.
great.
Cool. Okay, so I'm just going to try.
Your voice is right at the edge of pushing the microphone too hard.
Okay, let me.
Yeah, you know, half a degree.
Yeah. Okay, that better.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me try a little version of this Toots song. Reggae got soul, got so much soul. 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 Listen to the beat in my dancing feet. I'll rock your body line. Right in time, you don't have to salute when I'm passing through, because reggae got soul, got so much soul. Reggae got soul, got so much soul. Reggae got soul, got so much soul. Grandmother can't do it, grandfather can't do it. Music make you feel alright. Grandfather can't do it, grandmother can't do it. Rock it and I feel alright. I said rock your body line. Right in time, you don't have to salute when I'm passing through, because reggae got soul, got so much soul. I said reggae got soul, got so much soul. 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 Reggae got soul, got so much soul.
That's great. That's exactly the kind of boost we all need these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. It's amazing how that sound captured the world for early on, and then, you know, has endured from the islands. Amazing.
Yeah, and it's music that really came out of, you know, these poor, humble places and the struggle. I mean, you know, that movie, The Harder They Come, it's obviously fictionalized, but like people like Toots kind of live that story.
Right. So we're going to bring in a couple of new of other guests in the 11 o'clock hour in a second. Paul Machabee and Joanne Rand, both of whom are brand new to this wacky adventure I call now I'm going, basically it's a Sunday Sanity song swap. I wanted to catch one more from Karen Brooks. And Karen, you know, you can hang all through the morning, of course. So, but if you have another song there from Heath, from the Land of Sheep and plenty, yeah. That would be great to hear.
And a brief update on the RAM situation. Remember 2 weeks ago? So most of my mothers have blue backsides now because the RAM has a blue marking harness. So the COM RAM is doing his job. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, he has a marking crayon, so I can tell when he's done it. So anyway, this song,
cool. Is that an old technique? Does that go back?
It's been around a long time, yeah. And you get different colors, so every 2 weeks you put a different color on, so you can see if they're getting marked a second time. Yeah. So everybody, but
I have a
two is
feeling
already-
that's brand new knowledge for everyone else on this webcast.
I just kind of why I told you. And the fact that the calm guy did the job, so I didn't have to put the aggressive guy in, which I did not want to do. But this song,
We don't want to do that generally.
no, we
in
don't.
life.
We don't want the aggression in there, the aggressors. Don't want to be afraid. Anyway, this song is one I'm surprised we haven't done on this show, but it's Pete's song. Old devil time, I'm gonna fool you now. Old devil time, you'd like to bring me down. When I'm feeling low, my lovers gather round and help me rise and fight you one more time. Old devil fear, you with your icy hands, old devil fear, you'd like to freeze me cold. When I'm so afraid, my lovers gather round and help me rise and fight you one more time. Old devil hate, I knew you long ago. Then I found out the poison in your breath. When I hear your lies, my lovers gather round and help me rise to fight you one more time. No storm or fire can ever beat us down. No wind that blows but carries us further on. And you who fear, oh lovers, gather round, and we can rise and sing it one more time. And we can rise and sing it one more time. Thank you. Boy, that song. That
Missed that
song
guy.
is such an amazing song. And I don't know if you guys have seen this, but there's a site called Hate is Poison, and they've got some amazing stuff. But it's true. Hate is poison. And Pete knew it. I mean, you
Yeah.
know. But
Oh yeah,
thanks so
we
much.
went through it.
Yeah, yeah. So nice to see you all. I'll try to come back later, but I think I'm probably gonna need to go do some work on
Okay.
the farm. And thanks so much for having me.
You can show us around later too, like we've done before, if there happens to be,
and
you know.
and I realized that if I move the Wi-Fi range extender out to the barn, which has power, I had service out there the other day, and I was like, wow, I never thought of doing that. So I'm going to do that. It'll be my phone, but still, it's okay. Anyway,
Okay.
nice to see you all.
We'll see you
Bye-bye.
around one way or the other.
Right.
Take
Right.
care.
See ya.
Be well.
You too.
I can't get enough of the view from Heath, Massachusetts, from the farm there. It's way better than Lake Wobegon. Julio Friedmann at the center, at our Center on Global Energy Policy, and out in Livermore, California, up early. You said something about the blue marks of the Rams brought to mind something. I'm just really curious how that resonates in your world of energy technology.
It's a science thing, actually. I'd love to see what David thinks about this. The actual issue is the aggressive ram and the calm ram. And there was a study done on the genetics of lemmings, of all things. And they discovered that there's sort of a mixed genetic pool, with some males being very aggressive and some males being more passive, the aggressive and the calm. And there was a 4-year population cycle that was dominated by the aggressive males, that they would get aggressive, there would be a huge population boom, and they would kill each other. And they would run out of food and they would starve to death, like all these things. And there was this idea that the lemmings would run off the cliffs, but actually the Norwegian legends were that the lemmings would rain from the sky because they would just appear out of nowhere. But the aggressive strain sort of died because of deprivation or self-destruction. The population would repopulate with the calmer males. And so there was this sort of cycle where there would be some refugia, some small amount of the aggressive male would reign behind, but they would lose population sort of dominance. And you would have this, very straightforward differential equation kind of looping that would go through the system. And it had about a 4-year cycle. I thought that was fascinating. So I'm thinking now about the calm ram and the blue ram and their role on the farm. I don't know.
And boy, does that have something to do with our electoral cycle?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's very tempting to draw an analogy with we have a 4-year cycle dominated by aggressive males, right?
Boy, oh boy. Let's hope we can break free of some of that. Before we move along, I want to bring in our two other brand new guests. We had Dwight Garner in a minute ago, and here are Joanne Rand and Paul Machabee. And how are you? Welcome to our madness.
Oh, we're doing great. I'm doing great.
Well, Joanne, you came to me via Joanne McGarry, who I've never met, but I've known for years now via Facebook and now this show. And she led me to your music, which is really awesome. And I apologize for not having stumbled on your work before. I encourage folks to go to your YouTube channel. Just look for Joanne Rand. And you got to tell me a little bit about the Little Big Band, because man, they rock. They're astounding. So
Little Big Band was a while ago, but
yeah, in the 90s, it looks like. Yeah. So can you just describe a little bit your work and how you approach music and where you are in the world, and say hello?
I started. I've been an activist all my life since I was 11. And I knew that this situation here on Earth was not sustainable the way we were living. And I started writing poems, in first grade, songs at 16, and then moved west as soon as I could. I'm from the Southeast, and just to get to the wilderness. I was living in the wilderness, seeing the logging trucks go by with the redwoods on them. And I started writing these songs because I felt this visceral response, and people liked those songs. There was a movement. This was in the late 80s, early 90s. And so I just kind of came along at the right time with the right sense of, like I was living in this completely amazing wild place. You had to hike a mile and canoe across a creek to get there. And I would wheelbarrow my keyboard across the ridge to get to every gig. And so the music spoke of that place, and people liked it. And I was carried on a wave. That's how my career started. It was at a time when a singer-songwriter could actually make a living selling albums. And
right.
So since then, it's gone through many transmutations. I was my brother's caregiver when he died of AIDS. So there's a lot about life and death. And I've had a child, and I keep writing about, I feel like what I am is sort of an acupuncturist, because a lot of people, we have to numb ourselves to function in this world. And the artist gets to vibrate with their emotions and let everybody recognize they've got those same feelings. And that's my role. I tap into your feelings and let you feel them, or give you permission, because I'm doing it myself. That's kind of my take on it anyway.
That's a good place to be. And Paul, where are you in the world? You're in upstate New York, I think, if I remember correctly. And what how do you approach music? And by the way, how are you doing in these wacky days?
Well, I'm getting by. You mentioned upstate New York, and right now in my senior year at Skidmore College in Saratoga Springs, and yeah, music. It's just something that been just really enjoyed, and especially now, it's just been great to like play and
Yeah. There's a professor at Skidmore who I had on this show a few months ago, who in psychology, behavioral science, who's his field. He studies what's called terror management theory, which is that all of us, we all know at some level that we're mortal, right? And that shapes a lot of aspects of how we live and how we live as communities, even beyond a conscious level. And terror management theory is grappling with that reality. And there's some psychologists who look at the power of figures like Trump as pulling on that. In other words, when you have someone saying, "Oh, it's all going to be great," and follow me, fearless leader, that's part of this concept. It was really it was an enlightening and very unnerving conversation. If folks can just Google for terror management theory and sustain what to find that. So let's try it. I'd love to hear a song from each of you. Maybe Joanne first, if you have something that comes to mind, that would be great.
I wrote this song a few years back. Sorry, it's 8 a.m. out here.
No, I thank you so much for. I always have to thank my California guests, Julio, too, for being up early. It's really hard for musicians.
I've been dealing with a new puppy this morning, so.
Oh my God.
I wrote this song several years ago. We've had many portals, like where we thought, okay, everything's going to get better. We make it through this portal. So this one fits right now as well. Can't keep a good man down. Can't keep the people down. Can't keep this woman down. I'm back around, I'm back around. Gonna live the life I please, free from hunger, trouble, toil, and disease. I'm gonna get up off my knees, I'm gonna rise. Behold, I stand before your very eyes, beating heart, rattlesnake, hard-working woman, hard-working man, just trying to do the best we can. Looking up this mountainside seems impossibly high. Oh, but you can't keep us down. The people are awake. And from this muddy ground there comes a flying rattlesnake. Rise and fly, touch the sky. Rise and fly, no questions why. Rise and fly, my friend. Your destiny is about to begin. I believe it. Rise and shine. Set the pace for humankind. No, you cannot keep us down. Oh, you
cannot keep us down. You can't keep us down. The people will arise. Behold, we stand before your very eyes.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Really, really gets to a lot of what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's been happening since the beginning of time, I think.
Yeah.
You know, this lava lamp of power. Like,
for sure. Julio, can you get over to your piano? I would love to see if we can get you in our musical mix, as well as talking about lemmings and rams.
Yes, well, and I wanted to. Today is a little different. In the past, I've done simple stuff or I've done sad stuff. Today, I'm doing optimistic stuff. Like you said, we need some optimism here in the world. And I'm going to play some Bach. A couple of reasons why. Here's the moment where I profess. Talk about an aggressive ram. Bach fathered 21 kids. Like this guy was in it, but he was not a show horse. He was a workhorse. The guy wrote constantly. And one of my favorite stories about Bach is he wrote the Brandenburg concertos to get and killed. Like it was just like, hey, I'm going to bang out these 6 concertos. Let's see if you like them. And didn't go anywhere, but we got some good music. Anyways, as an example of his workhorse, every week he wrote a cantata. Every goddamn week for his church.
Wow.
Year after year after year in Leipzig. He banged it out. This tune that I'm going to play is probably the hardest thing I've played ever. So, I'm going to ask for your forbearance here. It's Myra Hesse's arrangement of Jesu Joy of Man's Desiring, which came from Cantata 147. I'm going to play the expurgated version because otherwise it's just going to be too long. But I hope you enjoy it. I have to get off the headphones to do it, but we'll see how it goes. Just a moment.
Sure. And Patrick Jones is joining us too from Beacon, New York. So we'll get to you, Patrick. Good to see you.
I'm going to have to take another start at that. Apologies. I got just too tangled up. One more time.
We all get tangled up.
Sorry about the fumble at the opening there, though, but hopefully you enjoyed it.
It still lowered my blood pressure at least 3 or 4 ticks.
Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful.
Exactly. It's just about the beauty of the world.
Yeah.
Nice thing to have.
Yeah, really. So Paul, tell us about your music. Well, just let's hear your music. I think, yeah, right. I see a fiddle, and I think we had some fiddling kids on from the UK a couple of months ago. But other than that, we've been sort of fiddle free. So we're happy to have you here.
Oh, be happy to bring in a couple tunes then if you're lacking in fiddle. Yeah, I've been playing fiddle probably the longest out of any instrument I play since I was short. I took lessons for a while with a woman up in Potsdam named Gretchen Kohler, and now we got a fella here at Skidmore named, I don't know if you ever ran into a fella named John Kirk, but he does some stuff around here, and feel great. I might do a song of his later if I get him in. Think right now I'll just go for a couple upbeat tunes here.
Yeah, that sounds great. Go for it.
Yeah, so it's reels to get you.
Good to have you on board.
Yeah. Oh, good. Great to be here. So really amazing little community building you're doing here.
Good.
Wow. Great. All right. I think just gonna take off the earbuds right here and all right. Can you coming through all right?
Sounds great.
Yep. Sorry, I have my own little stutter there.
Well, our friend over in England, at Oxford, England, who's been on here several times, Ray Pierre Humbert, a climate scientist who plays a mean accordion and ukulele, just lamented in a comment that your fiddling reminds him of how much he misses the Kayleys we used to have before the pandemic. And what's so sad about our gatherings here, of course, is that we can't like jam together quite yet. The bandwidth and technology hasn't caught up with that to do that live. Because I mean, I could feel the pull right there. I was stomping my feet, and my banjo's over there, my mandolin's over there. That's one of the things we could work hard toward being able to have that physical community again. Someone just posted on Twitter this morning a picture from Taiwan of a giant festival that's happened. Taiwan has eliminated the virus completely. We're never going to be Taiwan. We don't have the same cultural cohesion an island country like that has, but it shows you what's possible. You know, if we can just get this a little more right. And right now we're getting it wrong. So wonderful sounds there. Maybe Joanne, do you have another tune in mind that builds off that energy we just heard?
I sure do. Hang on a second.
And it's great to see Donna Nestler and Patrick Jones, my good friends from our Pete Seeger, Hudson Clearwater circles and the Hudson Valley here. We'll have you on shortly. And David Grinspoon, hope you can hang in a little longer. And this is soothing your soul as much as it soothes mine. And David Grinspoon and Andrei as well.
I wrote this song about a week ago or so when my best friend and I got in an argument online about masking. You know, I'm for wearing a mask and being very careful. And she's believed in the, I can't remember the name of it, that Great Barrington Report or whatever it was. Oh, my God. Anyway, so, and I was so distraught about this, like eroding of a 20-year, we've been through so much and we can't let things pull us apart. So I wrote this song. So she and I are back together as friends, but it's got to keep those bridges, you know?
Absolutely.
So take me back to when it was safe to be naive. We could look each other in the eye and believe. When I was a girl, it was a kinder world than the one my daughter's growing up to see. Kindness mattered, integrity was key. We were more inclined to live and let be. But the stakes are high now, and scientists agree. Scrapping for survival is ugly, oh. Oh, I wanna see my mama. Oh, I wanna see my dad. Oh, I wanna see my homeland and lay my sweet head. Take me back to the land of my youth, when you could sail the world on a smile and a truth. The time when I grew, it was a time when we knew that any stranger was gonna go the mile for you. Kindness mattered, integrity was key. We were more inclined to live and let be. But the stakes are high now, and the scientists agree. And scrapping for survival is ugly. Oh, I wanna see my mama. Oh, I wanna see my dad. Oh, I wanna see my homeland and lay my sweet head. So take me back, or better yet, bring it forth, all the kindness that lies in us.
'Cause the time that's at hand it's gonna take all we're worth, and we need allies that we can trust and stand. Kindness matters, integrity rules. So build bridges and keep your cool. 'Cause the stakes are high now, scientists agree. So reach out, claim your humanity. Oh, oh, I wanna see my mama. Oh, I wanna see my dad. Oh, I wanna see my homeland and lay my sweet head and lay my head, lay my sweet head. Oh, oh, I wanna see my mama. Oh, I wanna see my dad. Oh, I wanna see my homeland and lay my southern sweet head in Georgia, the land where I was born. Oh yeah, I wanna go home again. I wanna see my parents again.
Yeah, Dean Friedman was on here a couple months ago. He debuted a song called basically I Want to Go Back to a Halfway Normal World. And it starts out with him thinking about meeting up with friends to go see a movie and the impediments to that happening. So this we are all in aspirational mode right now. And that sense of division too that you described between people who have so much in common.
I mean, the most important thing is to keep bridges, to build bridges. Right. And I just, my folks are in Florida. They're 97 and 94. I usually go out there 4 times a year and stay for a long time. And I went 3 times last winter in a row because the flights were so cheap. And I'm so grateful I did, because I'm just praying I get to see them again. They're doing great, but
yeah, Florida
is through the roof.
Yeah, I know. The everywhere's kind of got this surge on right now. It's really not a good moment. David, were you going to say something? Grinspoon? I thought I heard you.
No, I was going to say something.
Oh, Julio, yeah.
Yeah, actually, because that was a beautiful song. Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
It puts in stark contrast in my mind a quote from a friend of mine who says that Americans lack a tragic imagination, and which I think is kind of true. Joanne's song is kind of the counterpoint to that. It's the opposite of that, but it still sort of put it in my mind. Generally speaking, Jews do not lack a tragic imagination. Like we're pretty good at that. And I was actually wondering, Eastern Europeans are pretty good at tragic imagination too. I wanted to get Andrei's thoughts on sort of these comparing sensibilities.
There's so many.
Apropos of that, Julio, actually, I was going to recommend a book. If it's called Cautivos. It's written by Ariel Dorfman, a wonderful Chilean writer who writes in English. He teaches at Duke University. It's an amazing book. It's a book about Cervantes, written by Don Quixote, who is just inside of Cervantes and is living his life, hoping he'll get a chance to come out at some point. And Cervantes had a very dramatic life. He was captured by pirates, and then he was put in prison by the Spanish authorities when he came back. And all this time, Don Quixote is trying to be born, to have a time to be born. And then at the end of the Cervantes' dramatic life, Don Quixote is born, and he is immortal. Cervantes dies, of course, but Don Quixote keeps going, and it is a wonderful book of the imagination from that treasure well of stories of the Mediterranean and the tragic imagination, or the complex imagination of that world. And nobody has read it, as far as I know. It's called Cautivos, which I suppose means captives.
I'll show the cover in a second. Yeah, that sounds really interesting.
And I just couldn't put it down because I wrote a book called Whatever Gets You Through the Night, the story of Scheherazade. And it comes exactly from that world of the 1,000 Nights, which is a combination of fairy tales from all over the Mediterranean and that world.
So here's it's
great.
Tautivos. Ariel Dorfman, very interesting.
Ariel Dorfman also wrote Death and the Maiden, that was made in film by Roman Polanski.
No, that's a much more familiar book. This sounds wild. I think I've been captivated by the Cervantes story for a long time.
It's wonderful.
He actually, when I asked my wife to marry me, I quoted from Cervantes. There's a line where the knight is standing at the shore of a lake of bubbling pitch, blackness and horrors, and imagining the worst things that are lying under there, and dives in undaunted. And I was using that as a way to propose.
Oh my gosh!
Well, she said yes.
You overcome the fear.
Romantic, yes.
Yeah, kind of dramatic. I faxed it to her, I think. So hold on, I'm going to bring in our other guests who I see. There's Donna Nestler, and I see Patrick Jones. And I'd like to get some more fiddling before we're done. And maybe, if each of you has a tune in mind going forward, if you can stay through toward noon or a little after Eastern time, that'd be great. Donna, how are you doing? Your boat is buttoned up.
Water, as you saw last week. I'm still covering her, and I have some projects I have to finish up. But I'm home today because it's gale warning down there, and
off the water.
Put tarps on a boat in gale, not a happening thing.
No, and Patrick Jones in Beacon, you were just talking with me about this being Cherokee holiday.
Yes,
right around now. You have roots in that culture.
Yes, I do. It's called Diwali. And it's it's about getting prepared to go inside for a long time and to take stock of the year, to gather stories and to communicate with one another before we weather the winter months. So we had that last night, and it was good. I connected with some pretty neat folks. I did have a song that I wanted to bring to you, and it was kind of out of thankfulness. Yesterday there was a friend's birthday that's not with us anymore. Dan Einbender had his birthday yesterday.
That's right.
And it also is kind of being thankful to you, Andy, for introducing me to these wonderful people here in Beacon. You, Donna, right there, and I'm feeling very grateful. Also, Danny's tune. I actually had left the studio to try to get Diggett to come upstairs to sing with me on the show, but he had to go see his daughter and his son-in-law. But there's a book called The Great Animal Orchestra that you had given me, Andy. I don't know if you remember it, by Bernie Krause.
Oh no, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I'll just do one or two choruses of Danny's tune, because picture, if you will, a June night, and Danny is trying to entice good feelings from his love to be. Can you hear my guitar?
Sounds great.
Okay. It goes, well, there's music in every conceivable place if you just give it half a chance. And I know that's true, and you'll find that it's true. Just come out in the moonlight and dance. Come on, come on, Don't need to bring nothing. Come on, come on. We'll follow the tune. The moon and stars are singing a love song. Come on, come on. We'll fly to the moon. That big old bull frog sitting down by a log, and he's singing a love song. What's that they're saying in Sweet Rapids? Follow the tune. The dogs ain't barking, they're courting and sparking now. How can you go wrong? Come on, come on. We'll fly to the moon. Come on, come on. Don't need to bring nothing and leave behind your cares and your fears. The moon and stars are singing a love song. Come on, come on. We'll dance right in here.
Man, I miss that guy.
Oh yeah, Danny. I think it was. He knew what it was to have those the four-leggeds and the wingeds and the crickets. They've been having a good year, I think.
I think
compared
that's
to
true.
us.
Yeah, and he knew how to find joy even in the midst of tough times. He
Yeah,
just exuded all the things we need right now:
yeah.
empathy, joy, fun. The
Oh,
songs are
yeah.
great. And Donna, what's on your musical mind this morning?
Well, since I don't have either of my usual buddies with me, I'm going to do one song that neither of them does. Some trails are happy ones, others are blue. It's the way you ride the trail that counts. Here's a happy one for you. Happy trails to you until we meet again. Happy trails to you. Keep smiling until then. Who cares about the clouds when we're together? Just sing a song and bring the sunny weather. Happy trails to you till we meet again.
That's great. That reminds me of our friend Dan Ramey, who's been on the show a few times, who did "Give Me Land, Lots of Land with the Starry Sky."
I did that one
Don't
too.
tempt me. Yeah. Great.
But preview. Speaking of Danny Einbender, I've been learning a song that he was part of with Pete Seeger, and I'm going to do it on my plucky next time.
Ooh, I like that little mini 5-string banjo. I haven't seen that.
David Byrne's music store, Jake's Main Street
Cool.
Music. I got it.
Hold it up so we can see. Yeah, so it's not a tenor. That's cool. Ooh, I might have to check
Want to
that
hear
out.
it?
Yeah. Damn. I like. Well,
Next
may the
time.
world go, the world go, the world
Next
go.
time.
Was that what you were singing? Well,
No,
may the
I was
world
just
go.
playing chords.
Fantastic.
Now, there's a song that Danny and Diggett are on and helped Pete write, and I'm learning it. It's a surprise for next time.
Okay. So David Grinspoon, what you did earlier with Toots was awesome, and I would love to know if you have another tune in mind.
You know, I have one that's kind of a work in progress, and I'm debating whether to do it or wait until finish it and do it next week. I mean, it feels sort of foolish, but in a way, I sort of want to do it, even though it's not finished. Can I do a work in progress?
given that everything around
straight.
us right now is a work in progress,
Yeah.
or regress, depending on how
Yeah.
you look at it.
Okay, so this
yeah.
is something I've never played for anyone, and I don't think it's definitely not finished, and I'll probably screw it up a little bit, but there's a first verse that I like, and then the rest of it I feel I'm just not sure. But I know it's not finished, but I'm gonna do it anyways, just because. What the heck? There's nobody watching, right? No. we can erase the tape right now. It's called House of Love. You can always have hope, but hope's not enough. Got to know where you stand when the going gets tough. I don't have faith in God above. If we want to build a house of love, we're gonna need somewhere to build it. We had a dream until someone killed it. Hope's not enough, we can't leave it to fate. Don't try to tell me that we just have to wait. If we want to build a house of love, we gotta tear down the houses of hate. Tear down the houses of hate. 400 years, 400 years, no time left for our tears. 400 years since we first found this world is just another planet. We thought we had infinity, we just overran it. The reality should set us free, but we couldn't look, we couldn't see, we couldn't feel the unity. We came on ships of piracy, we called that theft discovery. We brought our inequality. What have we done? What have we done? We broke into the garden, planted strange fruit in the ground, too late to bake a pardon. 400 years, 400 years, is it long enough to burn? 400 years, 400 years, are we strong enough to learn? You can always have hope, but hope's not enough. You got to know where you stand when the going gets rough. I don't have faith in God above. If we want to build a house of love, we're gonna need somewhere to build it. We had a dream until someone killed it. Hope's not enough, we can't leave it to fate. Don't try to tell me that we just have to wait. If we want to build a house of love, I gotta tear down the houses of hate. Gotta tear down the houses of hate.
I'd say you're onto something there.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I feel like I am, but I also know that it's not like suggestions, comments, critiques, welcome, because it's like I'm still, obviously it's a work in progress, but thank you for indulging me.
Oh, no, of course. This is we're workshopping life right now. You know,
yes.
Anyone who thinks there's a perfect path through this mess we're in, this sort of multidimensional mess, is fantasizing. I did 2 different sessions this week on what's called, well, there's actually a group, and I worship them, called the Society for Decision Making Under Deep Uncertainty. Their website is deepuncertainty.org. They just had their big international conference. I had several of their top people on here. And, you know, I think we all have this fantasy that if we just clear away the fog, we just sort of disinform the information landscape, and we're just going to magically decarbonize and de-pandemicize, and it's just not that way. There's too many layers, too many interconnections.
I love that. I love that Society for Decision Making Under Deep Uncertainty, because it's so honest. Like it's almost like, given the way our political process works, sometimes we have to pretend we have more certainty than we have, because, you know, the science is settled. The scientists have decided we have to do this. And as a scientist, sure, there's certain things that are settled and obvious paths that we have to take. But whenever I hear that, I'm always thinking, well, actually, there's this uncertainty. You know, like, is it really settled? Well, in some ways, yes. And in a lot of ways, we have to make decisions even though we still have deep uncertainty. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and I'm going to show follow them, Deep Uncertainty. It's deepuncertainty.org. A bunch of people, I'm sure, Julio, you know some of them, Bob Lempert and the folks at Rand Corporation, which has the weirdest, stupidest name of any entity, because it makes it sound like a company selling something. But they're all deeply dug in on this. Well, and it's very different than how we gauge risk in normal situations, where you look at data and you kind of manage the risk. It's much more scenario based. Like, they play out every scenario and say, all right, society, what do you do with that outcome? Or what do you do with that outcome? And then it gives you a way to attack these problems, even when we don't know. We know what we don't know. I wanted to play Joseph Pupe from Lusaka, Zambia, was on here very briefly early on. And he, in Lusaka, there's still limits to the bandwidth, but he pointed me to a new download he did on YouTube. And he's been on the show since the beginning. And here's his song, I Love My World. So let me just set that up for everybody here and for everybody out there. If you're watching, share this with folks right now or later. So add to stream. Oh no, I have to do it the right way. Hold on. We're still getting used to StreamYard after all these months. You have to do things in a certain way to get the sound to play. Share audio. Click the crucial button. So here's Joseph Pupe in Lusaka, who's probably out there listening right now. He was with us at the very beginning of the show. And I'll make this bigger. And here's his message and his song.
Hi, hello. This is Joseph Pupe from Lusaka, Zambia, to be a part of this program. And yeah, everything here is a bit unusual, of course, as
Oh, it'll come. Why does it do this sometimes?
everywhere else,
There
with
we
the
go.
pandemic and also the lockdowns, and with the growing uncertainty, it's just making everything crazy. But maybe that's the reason why we're here, so that you and I can come together, recharge our hearts, our hopes, and our efforts in making sure that we make this world as incredible as what it should be instead of what it is right now. And as a climate change advocate and activist, I have written a number of songs that calls for climate action, and songs of stories of people impacted by climate change and also their resilience and adaptation. And one of the songs that I'm about to share with you is titled I Love My World. It's a place I call home, and I'll do everything I can to protect it and nurture it. So enjoy the song. My world is green. I live in a green world. My world is green. I'll keep it green. My world is green. I live in a green world. World is green. I'll keep I will keep it green for me and my children. Oh, love the world, it's a place I call home. I will keep it green for me and my children. My world is green. I live in a clean world. My world is clean. I'll keep it clean. My world is clean. I live in a clean world. My world is clean. I'll keep it clean. Oh, oh, I love my world. It's a place I go home. I will keep it clean for me and my children. I love the world. It's a place I go home. I will keep it clean for me and my children. I love my world. I love my world. It's a place I call home. I will keep it clean for me and my children. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, I love my world. It's a place I call home. I will keep it green and clean for me and my children. I hope you also love the
Whoops,
world.
hold on. I'm just trying to stop that. So there you go. His songs are so simple and pure, and they just kind of ring out. I like that a lot. It's just great to have him here. I'm trying to get more people from other parts of the world. It's great to have you all here too. Andrei, I think you said you have a poem.
Yeah. I have a short poem that is really about an infinitely long time. It's about some befores and afters that are not just in my poem, but you can add to them, I'm sure. Before COVID, before the internet, hair, before and after, the many befores of history, the many afters of life, Ovid before COVID, cliché before poetry, health before sickness, effects before cause, symptoms after the party, Zoom cats after real cats, real people after Zoom people, books before language, Zoom cats in foreground after people in background, Venus before and after, venal before vengeful, bark before divination, divination after the fact, tree before branch, moss before ice, flora after fauna, fauna before, hug before shaking hands, tremble before hug, answers before questions, potatoes before meat, tiny little notebook of before in the big book of after. Thank you.
As they say in poetry circles.
They used to say in the beat circles.
Yeah, right. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
A lot of before and after to think about here. Zoom cats. I know. These things that are new things around us are just kind of bizarre. and the pace of change is still boggling my mind. New words emerge, new norms, sort of mask nervousness, even for those of us who are, supportive of wearing a mask when you're in contact with people. There's still this weird kind of like, it takes away part of your personality. Who is that really? Wait, I don't know who that person is. We're just surrounded by all these transitions that are boggling.
And the cyber age, I mean, we were lucky enough to grow up before computers, before everybody had a personal computer, and just experience of life felt so much fuller, I think.
Yeah.
More.
No, I know. And I know what you mean.
Grammar,
we all, although there is this possibility of like having Joseph Poupe in a conversation from Zambia, the sort of upside is
right,
not yet fully absorbed. Which has its ups and downs. I've connected with so many people I never would have met, and ideas I never would have met, never experienced. So it still feels like an emergent question of.
Well, I grew up in an empty world, in Romania, and the so-called communism there, which was really just a bureaucratic nightmare in black and white and gray. And, but it was full somehow because we had ideas and we had music and we had things to talk about. And if we wanted to talk about politics, we whispered and went to a park because somebody was listening. But there was a gravity to life in a certain sense before all the technology that allows us to say everything, but it's lighter sometimes.
So let's try to see if we could fit in one more, ideally shortish tunes before we say farewell. This has been a great morning. It's now into the afternoon. I have to write a story later today. So that's ticking in my brain, the other parts of life we all have outside of these conversations. So maybe Paul, do you have another, a quick fiddle tune? Not like a whole set, but a fiddle thought.
Yeah, sure. I could do like a quick little jig or.
Great to have you on here. We do need that. There's something about the octane level of fiddle that's just great.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, it's great to be here. I mean, everyone's playing some amazing stuff today and great words and music. Oh, it's really great.
That is what I'm talking about. Wonderful. Yeah, we're hoping to do a distanced physical get together for those of us in the Hudson Valley at some point. You're not too far afield, so we could think about that down the line. Maybe it's really hard. We thought we could do it this summer. It never quite happened. Obviously, right now the landscape of the virus is making it tough to think about that again too. But hopefully. Donna, do you have another tune?
How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. In spite of it all, I'm able to grin when I think of the places my get up has been. Old age is golden, so I've heard said, but sometimes I wonder as I crawl into bed with my ears in a drawer, my teeth in a cup, my eyes on the table until I wake up. As sleep dims my vision, I say to myself, is there anything else I should lay on the shelf? Though nations are worrying and business is vexed, I'll still stick around to see what happens next. Sing along! How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. In spite of it all, I'm able to grin when I think of the places my get up has been. When I was young, my slippers were red. I could kick up my heels right over my head. When I was older, my slippers were blue, but still I could dance the whole night through. Now I am old, my slippers are black. I huff to the store and I puff my way back. But never you laugh, I don't mind at all. I'd rather be huffing than not puff at all. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. In spite of it all, I'm able to grin when I think of the places my get up has been. I wake up each morning, dust off my wits, open the paper and read the obits. If I'm not there, I know I'm not dead. So I eat a good breakfast and I go back to bed. Last time, sing along. How do I know my youth is all spent? My get up and go has got up and went. In spite of it all, I'm able to grin when I think of the places my get up has been.
Just great. Just
You all
great.
sang along, right?
I was singing along.
I was on
Totally.
mute, but
Oh, yeah, yeah. Hey, I sound great on mute and I look wonderful in a mask.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I was thinking of just slipping in my tune,
okay.
Prayer and a Toast, which I wrote during the last big recession. This makes that look like playground. So here we go. It's pretty quick. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Fluky doesn't even begin to describe the way life feels these days. Crisis a minute has become the norm. Worries just won't go away. Bills are piled high, windows are barred, tread on my tires worn thin. Got such an assortment of problems, I don't know where to begin. So I take my old dog for a 7-mile walk, stare at the clouds in the sky, sit on a rock on the top of a hill and just simply wonder why. Why am I here? Where am I headed? Is there an end to these woes? Then the sun peeks out and a rainbow appears and my dog licks me on my nose. That's when I realize things aren't half as bad as they seem to be. I got 2 good legs, it's a beautiful day, and at least my dog loves me. I've decided to take it all a day at a time, made myself a little oath. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. Gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. I get back to my house, I pay one of my bills, write a new resume, call an old friend I hadn't seen for years. He said I'd made his day. He's behind on his rent, his roof had a leak, he's fighting with his wife. I said, sounds like you could use a little dose of my new approach to life. You know, it feels like things ain't half as bad as they seem to be. I got 2 good legs, it's a beautiful day, and I know my dog loves me. I decided to take it all a day at a time, made myself a little oath. I'm gonna start each day with a prayer and end each day with a toast. that gets to the work in progress part.
Great show.
You know, a little hope, a little alcohol, and a lot of empathy and a lot of outreach. That building bridges part that Joanne sang and talked about earlier is so important. Not breaking bridges. There are these pinch points in life, you know, and they're very identifiable. One thing I'm trying to do here on Mondays on the shows, the Thriving Online webcasts, I started a series that'll be called Difficult Conversations, How to Have a Difficult Conversation. Yeah. We did one, we've done 2 so far, and they're pretty powerful. And I think they give you some hope that there's methods to break some of these barriers around us and find the common ground in a media environment that seems to amplify our search for the things that divide us. Patrick Jones, a last tune from you?
Absolutely. Can you hear me okay? I've been
good.
The guitars here?
Yep.
Okay. Well, there was something called the Cuban Missile Crisis, and this song came out around that time, and it kind of goes like this. Gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face, wipe off the clouds and cheer up, put on a happy face, shake off the gloomy mask of tragedy, that's not your style. You'll feel so good that you'll be glad you decided to smile. Well, we all knew a guy so gloomy, he wouldn't laugh or sing. He wouldn't listen to me. Now he's a mean old thing. Why sit there being sour and bickerish? Don't sit and whine. Think of banana splits and licorice, and you'll feel fine. Gray skies are gonna clear up, put on a happy face, wipe off that full of doubt look, put on a happy face, and spread sunshine all over the place. Just put on a happy face.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Thanks.
Really nice. Those classics. I thought that went further back, but yeah, Donna just typed in that it was from Bye Bye Birdie.
Bye Bye Birdie, yeah. It was written about that time, but I think about that time when that play was out. It was the summer of '63. Camelot was in full bloom, as you know, that whole thing.
Right.
And it's a proper time for now, I feel. Put on a happy face, you know?
Yeah, and put that in the foreground.
Yeah.
Like try to defer toward that part, even when something is driving you to be pissed off.
Right.
Those mental habits are really tough.
Yeah.
And Joanne, a last tune from you would be wonderful. Thank you for being here. You know,
That's
both you and Paul.
Great way to begin the day. Oh my God. So I was, you know, this speaks to that comment earlier that Americans have no tragic imagination. And I think it depends on which portion of the population you're talking about. This song was by Sam Cooke. And, you know, I think he died being shot in a parking lot.
Wow.
But it's a good song.
I was born by the river in a little tent. Just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long, long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die, 'cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. Then I go to my brother. I say, help me, please. But my brother, he keeps knocking me back to my knees. There were times that I thought I wouldn't last for long, but now I believe I'm going to carry on. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
Wow. Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. I was actually playing on your YouTube channel. I was listening to you singing that one. Really beautiful song.
Yeah, he's amazing songwriter.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just the fact that he would have all that, hope.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's in us all. We look for it. Thank you all for being here today. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Great new voices, new hearts and souls. This is all a tonic for the dueling pundits and all the other crap out there that doesn't really have a chance of changing your life or your attitudes or anything, but it's a lot of people that stuck on that stuff. So this will live on as these archive videos in 4 different places. I'll send the links around, and hope everyone out there has enjoyed the show today.
Thank you for being the beacon that carries this this show. That's great.
I kind of like, part of me is just sort of, part of my job seems to be connect people. So whoops, I just lost the thing I was going to show folks about tomorrow. So during the week, as I said a minute ago, that was Friday. Holy moly. Let's go to the right thing. During the week, I do these things on stuff like building scientific integrity back after the Trump years. And on Monday, I was going to show you a second ago, but I screwed up. Give me 1 second, everyone. All of you. We'll get there. And thank you for being here too again, Joanne.
My pleasure and honor.
And so you're in California?
I'm in Arcata, California, which is probably one of the better, I shouldn't tell you this, better places to be right now.
Yep. And Paul Machabee from up at Skidmore, thanks again for being here.
Yeah.
And my good friends, Donna and Patrick, and everybody who came here earlier today as well. I'm just going to now show folks the little primer for tomorrow, the little card showing you what's happening tomorrow. So tomorrow, one of the beacons of actual reality, knowledge, data, insights on the web is Wikipedia. It lives only by the grace of a lot of volunteers doing a lot of work, keeping track of what's on there. So it's like this community-generated library that's changing and evolving in real time. And on issues like climate or COVID-19, there's a lot of people who would love to make it dishonest or inaccurate. And so tomorrow is Monday, right? Wow. The Thriving Online session is going to be on how to be Wikipedian, how to be an editor, how to kind of dive in, how to be helpful in that arena, maintaining one of the critical sort of knowledge components in our online life these days. And later in the week, I have another session on the the Biden plan for climate and energy and what we can actually do. And of course, on Sundays, we'll be back to doing what we're doing here. So just again, a thank you again to my friends here and out there, wherever you are, share this with friends and neighbors. As soon as we're done, it's an archive video. Get in touch with me with ideas. Look at that little scrolling bar at the bottom, which might be a little distracting sometimes, but it has all my contact information. And wherever you are, put the smile first. Try to find ways internally to look at those stresses and anger you might feel as you approach others around you and search for solutions. And I think what we're trying to do here is demonstrate that conversation is a path toward progress. So thanks everyone again. Get on with
Thank
the
you.
day. Be well.
Thank
Come
you,
back.
Andy. Say hi to
Thank you,
Lisa.
Andy.
I will. And
Yeah.
see you again sometime, all of you.
Thank you.
All